Tough to be a Falcons fan right now, but I do want to thank every single fan that came out and joined us during our watch party against the New York Jets. We gained 123 new subscribers during that watch party, and we only need 690 to hit our next goal of 47,000 subscribers here on the channel. So do me a favor, if you love fresh, entertaining, informative content surrounding your Dirty Birds all season and off season long, hit that big red sub button today. Falcons fans, welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. On today's show, I'm going to break down a couple of big rumors that you need to know. Some new head coach firing odds just dropped by way of CBS Sports. Kyle Pitts might be gone in Atlanta sooner rather than later, and I'm also going to break down the biggest offensive problem, in my opinion, surrounding the Dirty Birds. Now let's go in order here. Let's go with the head coach firing odds. Raheem, you are on the hot seats. Minus 200 now to be the next head coach fired in the NFL, followed by Zach Taylor, Jonathan Gannon, Kevin Stefanski, and Pete Carroll. Now, there are a couple of, not similarities in this, but you do notice something that Pete Carroll's only in year one when it comes to the next head coach firing odds, whereas Kevin Stefanski, Zach Taylor, they have a little bit more tenure as head coaches. Jonathan Gannon and Raheem Morris are really the only more modern coaches at this point to be fired, and they're more like year 2, year 3 in the system. I'm not entirely sure, by the way, why the Atlanta Falcons want to save face when it comes to Raheem Morris. I don't know what Terry Fontenot is protecting. There's no brand loyalty or professional courtesy here to Raheem Morris. You need to win football games. So why on earth you haven't fired him right this moment is beyond me outside of those reasons, and it's a stupid reason. But CBS Sports broke down why they believe that Raheem is going to be the next head coach to be gone. Here's what they specifically had to say. Morris is in somewhat of a similar boat with Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, third-year coaches who have yet to produce, a winning record and have significant quarterback issues. Gannon is 0 for 1 with Kyler Murray, while Morris might be 0 for 2, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. During the 2024 offseason, Atlanta signed Kirk to a 4-year, $160 million deal. You guys know this. Cousins struggled and was benched at the end of his first season after the injuries plagued him, where Penix came in and was not much better. He's also had incredible game management issues that have plagued him throughout his tenure with the Falcons. Here's what I thought was actually kind of funny to see as well. A similar report here from ESPN. Dan Graziano claims that Raheem Morris is a quote-unquote personal favorite of Arthur Blank. That's good to know. At least we know why he continues to be employed, because Arthur Blank is not going to pull the trigger and actually fire Raheem Morris until the end of the season. Again, this is just one of those things where I'm like, I have no idea why the Falcons want to save face, but I do know this. Raheem Morris is no longer going to be the coach of the Atlanta Falcons in 2026. Why? All of the odds are telling you he's going to get fired, and the eye test tells you it should have been done 3 weeks ago. His record, by the way, is not good in the last couple of seasons. Since the beginning of 2024, Raheem's record is 12-17, and we continue to lose football games in a dramatic fashion. Every single week, there's a new way that we lose a football game. I said it in my last video. The Falcons have only gotten blown out twice this football season. Once to the Carolina Panthers in week 3, and then to the Miami Dolphins. And despite that, we have all of these playmakers, all of this talent, and yet we can't find a way to win football games. We have Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Jalon Walker, Pearce Jr., Terrell, Bates, Penix, who you guys have told me is the next best thing. We have all this talent, and yet no wins to show for it. That is a coaching indictment. But there is good news on the horizon, as I said at the beginning of this video. A rebuild can be a quick fix now in the NFL. It used to be that if you were rebuilding a franchise, you had to start from the ground, rip out the studs, and then just build up, and it was a 4 to 5 year process. Now it's not that far. AKA Exhibit 1, the Chicago freaking Bears, man. The Chicago Bears are one of those teams that clearly shows that they can go from 5-12 to the very top of their respective conference. They are currently the number 1 overall seed in the NFL. And if you want me to make a video on a fast rebuild for the Atlanta Falcons, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up icon. I'm trying to get more content out to you guys. This is a great way to show me that you guys want the videos that I'm thinking about making, and you give me direct feedback. So give me that thumbs up icon if you haven't done so already. Let's move on and talk a little bit about Kyle Pitts, because I want to focus a little bit more on the players. Kyle Pitts, I thought, played his very best game against the New York Jets this last game in Week 13 for the Atlanta Falcons, and it was by far his best game this entire football season. And coming up here in just a little bit, I'm going to tell you why, even despite that, Kyle Pitts most likely will not be a Falcon come the start of the 2026 season. Now, before I do that, got to tell you about my friends over at PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The weather is changing. Holiday season is here, and the best time of the year for sports is now upon us. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening all at once. And while you and I are out there making decisions every single day on what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there is only one place where it feels good to be right, and that's PrizePicks. Got a brand new feature alert. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the opportunity to cash out those winnings before even the game finishes. Speaking of the game, I have got one awesome lineup for you for tonight's game on Monday Night Football. Drake May, more on the passing and rushing yards. Jackson Dart, the more on the passing, rushing, and receiving touchdowns. And then Younghoe Koo, you guys know that name, the less on the kicking points. Yours can look like this. It doesn't have to. All you have to do is download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It is good to be right. So there is some stock rising for Kyle Pitts, but not for the Atlanta Falcons. It's rumored that he's ready to leave Atlanta in 2026 free agency. Now, this is not because he hates the Falcons. At least we don't know that, publicly. Maybe privately he has his disdain. But we also know that he's in a contract year. It's all about that paper. It's all about that money. And Falcons Sports Illustrated, I think, did a really good job of hinting to us what could be the near future for Kyle Pitts. They said this: it's tough to see Pitts in Atlanta, in a Falcons uniform, that is, next season. He'll likely get a contract in free agency in the neighborhood of 3 years for $36 million. That's $12 million a year. And the Falcons have too many other holes to fill to drop 8 figures on a tight end. But that doesn't mean they have to walk away empty-handed. The bigger the contract that he gets in free agency, the more likely it is that the Falcons will get a comp pick in the 2027 NFL draft. Well, it doesn't help us in the immediate future, but if we were going through a rebuild, it obviously would work in the future coming up. Now, Kyle Pitts, I have said to you before, I will say it again, there is not a more bipolar player in the NFL quite like Kyle Pitts. One game, he is spectacularly mid. The next game, he is excellent, like he was against the Jets. And then the following game just disappears and has 1 reception for 9 yards. Despite that, he's actually putting up pretty solid numbers in the receiving department, in the yards department, but has yet to find the end zone. Here's what I know about Kyle Pitts. He has not shown me enough this year where I'm like, hey, we got to go out and sign him. I've been team franchise tag on Kyle Pitts. I don't think that's a likely possibility anymore, considering what he's going to garner in free agency. He wants $12 million a year, so we're told. Well, where does that put him in amongst the highest paid tight ends in the NFL? Top 10, or right outside the top 10. And my guess is that with incentives, he'll be somewhere between 5 and 9. And if a team wants to pay Kyle Pitts that kind of money, go right ahead. I would not. I'd be giving him maybe $11 million a year at most if I wanted to. But like I told you, I wouldn't be giving him a long-term contract. I don't think he's worth that. He has not shown me nearly enough to get that kind of money. Here's another reason why I say just kind of let him explore the free agency market. Between Kirk and Pitts, if you got rid of both of them off your books for next year, you are saving $45.9 million. So let's round up and say 46. $46 million against the cap in 2026. Think about how many players you can go out and sign for $46 million. That is incredible. Think about how many short-term rentals you could do for that kind of money. Think about the player that you could sign to a longer extension with that kind of money. And that's just 2 players. We're not even mentioning the likes of like Arnold Ebiketie or David Onyemata, et cetera. The list goes on and on and on. So right now, question marks surrounding Kyle Pitts. Before we end today's episode, I want to bring up what I believe is the biggest issue in the Falcons offense. What is the biggest issue in the Falcons offense, Moose? Third down. They can't do it right at all. They suck. So they punted on their first 4 offensive possessions against the Jets. It was a very boring first half, if you remember watching it just yesterday. They finished the game, by the way, going 4 of 12 on third down, which is 33%. Fun fact, their season average is 33% on third down, which is good enough for 29th in the NFL. Translation, they suck at moving the chains. Zach Robinson's offense is far too predictable to consistently move the chains. The Falcons will never win with him. So even though we've seen better things from Kirk Cousins under center, quite literally, it's still not good enough to continuously give us these excellent performances and enough points to win football games because we're constantly on the field. And when you get off the field after going 3 and out, your defense has no time to rest. They have to get right back onto the field. They're exhausted. They give up more points. But let's just take all of that and just brush it to the side for a second. What is the name of the game in 2025 for a young quarterback? You want to get them open looks, scheme players open in the middle of the field. That is how you do it in the passing game. But what's one thing that the Atlanta Falcons consistently fail at? Scheming wide receivers open and pass catchers open in the middle of the field. We have begged Zach Robinson to push the ball down the field. And it's gotten better since Kirk Cousins has taken over, but it hasn't been good. Going into the Jets game, this is, by the way, where the Falcons ranked in throwing the ball over the field. EPA versus frequency throwing over the middle of the field. So not only do the Falcons not throw the ball over the middle of the field, they're terrible at it. And notice, teams like the Chicago Bears, even the New York Giants, who are bad, take shots over the middle of the field. The Bengals, the Lions, the 49ers, all of them do it at a high frequency and try to stretch the ball down the field to get bigger plays. Not Zach Robinson. It's very dink and dunk. It's very at the line of scrimmage. It's very much a gimmicky college-style offense. It doesn't work, which is why I've been saying since week 2, week 3, week 4, whatever it's been, to fire Zach Robinson, but it goes beyond that. It's fire everybody now. It's what it is. So let's start the chain going. Maybe I'll make this in every single video until it happens. Type fire everyone in the comment section down below. Why? Because for the love of God, I cannot continue to watch the same thing over and over again and expect the Falcons to do anything different. Yes, it's good enough to beat the Saints, but clearly it's not good enough to beat the lowly Jets who are tanking. That's all I got for you today. I apologize if you are a Falcons fan that wanted better news, but that's about as good of news I can give you. Fire everybody, start the rebuild, and for the hope and sanity of every single Falcons fan, maybe we can turn it around like the Chicago Bears did. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. A reminder to subscribe to the channel, like today's video, rise up, and be cool.